bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, folks. How are you doing? How are you doing? I've got to say, the last two nights I've been late getting on, and well, at least last night I owned up to it. Tonight's entirely the other bald-headed fault, but we'll get on to that. He's got very excited. He found a new tool to be playing with, and he had it out showing me. So well, he'll show it to you too very shortly. Have absolutely no fear. I hope you're doing well. I know a lot of you are very keen to catch up on news about what the. And I have news about what the. In fact, I'd be surprised. I haven't looked in the chat, but I would be surprised if he's not in the chat tonight. Gomez, first in. Is the king dead? Well, we will talk about that. He doesn't look terribly good, and we've been hearing for years that he's got, bad cancer. So, anyway, we shall find out. Well, we won't find out. Maybe not until the royal family are ready to tell us, because we'll get into it. Hello, Connie. Hope you are doing well, and Alan is doing equally. I hope you have a lovely Easter. Thank you for the message that you sent. I hope you and your family have a wonderful time together, and I'm sure you'll be cooking. No, I've got to go and see Mum. So I will be going to see Mum over the weekend. I was thinking, Connie's cooking. But no, there is chow mein on offer at Mum's. So I'll have to head off and check that out at some stage over the weekend. I hope you're enjoying Easter, folks. If you are celebrating it, it is a wonderful time of the year. I don't know whether or not today is the chocolate day. I don't think it is. I think Sunday's the chocolate day, isn't it, when you're meant to get the chocolates? Well, does anybody care anymore? God knows they've forgotten about so many other things that used to be tradition, or they've bastardized them that, probably just, it's a bit like you get hot cross buns on Boxing Day these days in the supermarket, don't you? It gets a bit upsetting. The lovely Aussie Sue, God love you, woman. Like and subscribe, folks. We really do need your love and support in that regard. I explained the reasons in the last show, but it's getting even more dire. There are so many more interesting little hoops that YouTube are putting through to creators. I had to sign in and re-sign in, prove who I was, and I managed to do it without having to go to facial recognition. So, but it's coming, folks. It's coming all over, and we will try and hold you about it. There you go. He is in the room. What the is in the house? And I can tell you that he is smiling. This is his smiling face. He had a very long surgery. Don't quote me to the hours. He'll probably correct me in the chat. But went in at something like 10:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning and got out at 7:30 last night. He still has a leg, and more particularly a foot. Now, if you're squeamish, look away now. The foot itself looks a lot better than last time we saw it, except the little toe. The little toe, on the other hand, that does have a strange discoloration to it that they are hoping will improve over the next couple of days. But at any rate, what has happened is they've done a vein graft. They've taken a couple of veins from his leg, presumably a different part of the one that's given him trouble, and they've cleared out those veins. They've taken out whatever those blockages were, but they've now also put a shunt around them so that the blood is going in through new veins into the foot, and the foot seems to be responding pretty well, he said. So the little toe, on the other hand, is looking decidedly dark. It's a frostbite. It's almost like frostbite. I guess it sort of looks the same. But all power to you, mate. I hope that over the next few days, because you're really, 24 hours, not even 24 hours out of surgery, and you said yourself that it's starting to look and feel a little bit better, the whole foot. So with a bit of luck, the toe will catch up to it, and well, there'll definitely be no need for a peg leg, which sort of disappoints me because I've ordered you a parrot cage. But I guess I look on the bright side. I hadn't bought you the parrot yet. So at any rate, we stand prepared and ready. Shall we bring in the waving wonder? It is that time of the week. Here he is. Hello, my friend. You haven't been well. I haven't told the folks about this, but you haven't been well for the better part of the week. So just want to say thank you for being up and around and being back with us today. Today seems to be the first day you're really back on your feet.
Yesterday was more or less the first day, but there's the unfortunate thing with diverticulitis that when it takes you out, it takes you out. So, like a blockage, it's like having appendicitis effectively. But yeah.
Yep. Now, we got a few things we're going to talk about tonight. You've got some interesting shipping information that you're going to share with us shortly. I thought to kick things off, though, I might want to mention this bloke, Swiss cheese Desi, apparently. Now that Swiss cheese reference was given by a police officer. That's how a police officer referred to him when he was telling the media about what happened to him. So that was yesterday's news. Now, today's news, and it's pretty late news at that, is that Desi Freeman's own family don't believe he's dead. Desi Freeman's wife hasn't been allowed to view the body. And if you listen to police, and given that he was shot 23 times, and they won't be shooting in his legs, they'll be shooting center mass and probably head, given that there were 8 snipers. So there's not going to be a lot of him left to identify in that regard, I wouldn't have thought. So police would probably advise, and so would everybody else, I suggest that you don't go and have a look. But it's a very neat way of tying everything up. Except nobody believes it. And that's because, for a variety of reasons, the whole story about Desi being caught and the way the media played out around that does not ring true to any other similar, and I know that there isn't any, double cop killer kind of stories to compare this against, but there are other multiple murderers who've been on the run for a certain period of time. There are just single murderers who have been on the run for a certain period of time and been cornered in a public place, and they have been shot by police. There are people who've just been having a mental health episode, who, like a poor woman in Sydney, who was having a very bad day, and the police turned up and they proceeded to beat her and kick her. She was naked in the street at the time. They dragged her by her hair along the street. They sprayed capsicum spray in her eyes, in her vagina, and then into the wounds, the gravel or the rash that she'd got from being dragged along a bitumen road. The bastard sprayed capsicum spray into. That's 2 of New South Wales' former finest. They were sacked, I think, pretty shortly after that and charged. And yesterday, I think, were sent to jail for 3 years. They'll be out in 2. But at least there was some form of punishment. They were very low level constables, and they got no protection from the police force whatsoever. But Desi Freeman, I can't say that I have seen every inch of footage that was aired, much less every inch of footage that was shot by the mainstream media. But it's clear Channel 7 had the pool helicopter for the day. So media helicopters, for whatever reason, the media companies now don't own their own helicopters. They have what they call a pool helicopter, which all of the channels supply a cameraman to. Might be one a week or one a day, whatever. And whoever that cameraman works for, Channel 10, Channel 7, Channel 9, or the ABC, I suspect, they shoot all the video for all of those channels, but the network that provides the cameraman gets the story first. So I'm assuming that Channel 7, because it was Channel 7 helicopter vision that we got from the site first, had the rights that day to who had the biggest swinging one in the helicopter. the sight, I don't know whether it's just morbid of me or I don't know why, but, I've seen a lot of the same vision over and over, and you don't just stare at it blankly and let it all wash over you. Each time you see it, or if you've recorded it, you go back over and you look at different sections, just in their isolation. And I've been looking and looking and looking and looking, and I could be wrong, but I cannot find a body covered in a blanket, in a tarp, under a piece of old carpet, hiding under a trailer. I can't find anything. What I can find is an awful lot of those yellow triangle evidence pointers or evidence markers that are put down. The police shells, the cartridges, the ejected cartridges after the shot. So we have an idea of where the police guns, and they can eject quite a distance, maybe 2 meters sort of over the shoulder, off to sort of, the 5 o'clock position, if you like. Might even be a bit further squarer. But at any rate, didn't see a body. Didn't see any sign of a body. Around the gun that Desi was allegedly carrying when he came out, there is no blood, as Tony has pointed out. There is no blood anywhere near that weapon. So where did they shoot Desi other than in the head and in the chest, which gets messy when you put 23 bullets into him, especially when they're high-powered bullets coming from semi-automatic weapons, not unlike the AR-15s, but they've got better ones. They've got much better ones. The Sons of God in Victoria. That's what the SOG are known as, the Special Operations Group, known as the Sons of God. It's how they like to think of themselves, or at least they used to. Now, I find it a bit sus that there was no tarp on the ground between the container and the trailer, or the container and the caravan, or the container and the Bearcat, or there is no body on the ground anywhere. There is no blood for a body that must have nearly been cut in half by the amount of firepower that was leveled upon it. No blood pools, no spatter. Yeah, terrible optics. No Logie for them. Jennifer, God love you. It's really poorly put together as a scene. Jennifer's nailed it. I mean, I've seen better murder scenes in B-grade, zero-budget horror movies. And certainly a lot more blood. So, I don't know. You've been unwell. You haven't really seen much. But I'm wondering if anybody in the chat has seen that. There is a certain troll online who's having a go at me at the moment. I left a message in one of these Desi forum type chats. I don't know where it was today, whether it was on Facebook or whatever, where I didn't try and stir him up for a change, but I asked this very genuine question. I'm not claiming that I've seen all the vision. There might well be vision of Desi's body under a sheet somewhere, but I haven't seen it. Have you? And that's what I was asking him, quite genuinely. Have you or anybody you know seen it? Because I'm not interested. Well, I am interested to see it, but I'm interested just to know that it exists first with some actual evidence. But now we only have one side of the story. All right. Now we only have the police side of the story. Because unless you believe, and look, there's a possibility they'll be honest and release everything, but I doubt it. Channel 7, God, how lucky were they? They were kissed on the dick by a fairy. I've got to tell you, when it comes to media terms, they've had a brilliant day. Not only were they, first chopper on site, but they also found Desi's cache. Now, a lot of people have always suspected that he would have made a number of videos proving or trying to show his evidence, or even admitting to whatever he had done. There would have been a lot of evidence in that cache, and he would have made a number of those caches and hidden them in different places. Channel 7 just happened to fall across what apparently is the main cache. I don't know how they'd know that if they didn't have them all in hand. But anyway, Channel 7 are managed to fall across, buried, hidden in an old hollow tree. Now, I don't know, maybe the cameraman was just sneaking around past the tree and had a look inside, and all of a sudden there's this road case that's got locks on it, jammed down into this tree somewhere. I mean, seriously, folks. They couldn't shoot a picture of the body, but they were able to be the ones to discover the cache of the cop killer. His final words. And what did they do? Rather than open it, copy everything that was in it, and then give it to the police, I would wager they gave it straight to the police.
They would have to.
Well,
it's part of the crime scene.
No. Well, was it? You don't know where the tree was? I don't know where the tree was.
Yeah, well, I'm gathering it's not going to be too far from the crime scene. Otherwise, we've got a News 7 reporter out there filming wildlife.
From what I understand, they were trying to figure out how he got to wherever he got to, and he got there on the Murray River, because the Murray River runs along the back of that property there somewhere. So it seems pretty logical that he came that way. He has known the area very, very well for a long time, and a lot of interesting bits there. So they may have just been down at the river getting some, B-roll, and just happened to come across the tree he so elegantly dumped his very important documents into. I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but there are just so many weird things about all this. And the biggest one for me is no body, no blood, but no body. The brain dead masses go along with whatever the bloke in uniform says. Yes, buddy, you are 100% right. Nothing's changed, sadly. This will give the Victorian police, though, something of a rah-rah, I bet, until Desi miraculously turns up alive, if he were ever to do that. I mean, we were told a couple of months ago that he was probably dead, or most likely 100% dead by snake bite or just, exposure out in the bush. That was the Victorian police term. But then again, they obviously had the dogs still watching his friends, and one of those friends has driven up to the property, potentially for a resupply, I suppose, and have inadvertently been tracked and traced there, and the coppers followed him. So we haven't heard the end of this yet. I'll be very interested to find out whether or not that person who led police to the property is charged, and what their story will be, because you've got to think they might know a bit about what Desi had said. Yeah, they said he'd confessed. Yeah, which is, nobody really believes he would have. Well, he may have confessed to shooting two police, but it's possible he confessed. I don't know. We would know if that's actually what happened, if the body camera evidence was to be released. We would have half an idea if the 7 police officers, presumably some wearing body cameras, who were hiding somewhere far enough away from the bus so as to allow Desi enough time to escape after shooting dead 2 and knocking another one out with a gun. Well, just missing him, but certainly wounding him. Desi was allowed to escape and make away, while 7 of them sat there with their thumbs up their asses, listening to a homemade shotgun, which I'm led to believe had 1 barrel, not 2. So it had 1 shot, not 2. But if it was a homemade scattergun kind of thing, both officers could have been hit by 1 blast and killed them. That's, possible, I guess. Would also explain why he picked up the pistols. But what I can't understand is why copper number 3, who was at the door and got wounded, where's his body camera? Where is his statement? Where is he now? Because he's recovered enough now. Why isn't he fronting the media? Because he won't be of use to the police force anymore. He'll be on a retirement package now because he got shot. He'll be debilitated and unable to keep going. He'll get a huge golden handshake packet. Why isn't the media asking him what he saw? Why isn't he out making those statements with police approval? Well, we've never heard a word from him other than, yeah, the other bloke survived. Oh, he was badly injured, badly injured, but we've never heard another word. And we've never certainly seen anything from him. It stinks. The whole thing just reeks. So wouldn't it be beautiful if the world changes in weird and mysterious ways in the next few weeks, and when a few people are arrested and taken away, Desi materializes out of the bush somewhere and says, oh, by the way, I'm here, I'm alive. They told you a whole heap of lies. So that whole story, because, I mean, one of the things you look for when there is something that could be a bit shonky about to happen in a murder or a case like this, where a coroner is involved, you always look for a new coroner being appointed. And lo and behold, we have a new coroner who is an I believe, county court judge being appointed for this particular case. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably got a little bit of wings on it, because Desi had issues inside the county court. He was using their laws against Dan Andrews. So now they've got one of their own judges inside as a coroner. I mean, if there is nefarious shit going on here, it's deep, deep, deep stuff, isn't it?
Yep, indeed. And just a little message for Super Cult. All caps letters is shouting. It's considered rude. You might want to tone it down in the chat.
Bloody hell.
Smart ass. Hello, you smart ass.
Stop yelling, you bastard. My God, you're writing Bibles in there too. Yeah. Yo, listen, it's not the underage 23-year-old in conjunction with the Georgia's. Oh, yes. I agree. Georgia Guidestones depopulate humanity to 500 million. Yes. We're aware. Oh, well, you might be one of these people who I also want to talk about, who's just coming into some new knowledge and shouting it very loudly from the rooftops. Unfortunately, you're shouting it straight into a bunch of people who are much deeper into the book than you are at this stage, if this is in fact you, Super Cult. But if it's not you, then bear with me, because the book is long, and many of us started it 40 years ago. Some people started it 5 years ago. A lot of people have started it a year or two ago, and there are yet still who started it yesterday or today. Now, every piece of information that we found on our journey in the beginning, we all felt, I still feel, no, truth isn't rude, mate. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. It's just that you seem to be preaching to the converted here. You're saying it in ways like you think we don't understand what it is that you're talking about. If anybody is being rude, it's you, who seems to be unable to understand that capital letters are yelling in a chat. So don't accuse us of being rude. Clean out your ears and listen to what I was trying to say. There are a lot of people who don't know about what you're saying, who don't know about Illuminati bloodlines and the conspiracies around them. There are a lot of people who don't know about the Ellen DeGenereses of the world and what they're capable of doing. Now, we can't mock them, much less yell at them, be that in chat or in person, because they don't know as much about the book as we do, as far deep into this fiction we are. And it is a fiction. I'm sure you will agree with that. So, yeah, okay, cool, mate. I know that, and I personally struggle with this, okay, and I think I'm not the only one. When I do get new people who've just discovered something that, oh, do you know that there's reptiles, Carl? You know, I reckon there's actually reptilians. Now, I'll be bold and suggest that I probably talk to more people like us every day or every week than you guys do in various different ways. And particularly if I'm doing a public event and there'll be people who have just come along to see who I am because they've heard something about me or they've got one piece of information. How many times I've sat and listened to the same story, the same excited revelation from I don't know how many different people. And it was exactly the same revelation I had one day while sitting out the back of a donga I used to live in Bly Bly and on the Sunshine Coast, when it hit me here, in my heart, in my soul, that what was being presented to me was real. And that was predominantly to do with children. But I'd already been aware and been involved in a lot of other stuff, and I've had a common law interest ever since I lost interest in being a lawyer. And that was quite a few years ago now. But I had every intention of being a lawyer until I got a taste of the law and couldn't be part of that, refused to be part of that. So, yeah, we've got to figure a way to bring these people along with us. And we've got to encourage them rather than say, oh, yeah, we found that out 5 years ago, or we found that out 40 years ago. You know, what do you know about this or this or this or this? And then we're trying to show off our knowledge then. And what we're really doing is red pilling a new soul that's joined our side. And we're not jamming one, but we might jam 2, 3, or 4 red pills down their throat and wonder why their eyes are spinning and bugging out of their head and we don't see them at the next meeting. So, and I know we do it with the best of intentions. I'm not saying anybody is doing this with malice. That isn't the case. It's more, well, yeah, it's not done with malice. It's sort of done, I guess, with a bit of love.
Love
and it gets down to what I was talking. Sorry, I beg yours?
Over exuberance.
Yes, over exuberance. Yeah, yeah. We get excited about it. We want to share more because, hey, you're on the path. Let me catch you up to the page I'm on. But we forget we took X amount of months, days, weeks, or years to get to the part of the book that we're in right now. And that level of knowledge that we have, whether you believe it or not, whether, you know, and there are plenty of non-believers who will come in and watch this show. And that's okay. You're allowed not to believe, you know. You can think us absolutely stupid for believing the way that we are. We must be morons. And we can believe the same of you. The difference between the two of us is that I would like to think that people on my side here, on this side of the argument, they're okay with you having a different opinion. They wouldn't hound you out of your house. They wouldn't stop you from working. They wouldn't demand that you be sacked for non-compliance of a medical procedure that you do not agree with. Those sorts of people are never going to see what we see. And the time to try and convince them now is past, sadly. We've been waiting for this for a long time, but I think we're now, you know, weeks and maybe months away from some very big revelations. I think it's quite possible it might be days. Could this all have something to do with tonight's headline, Vince? Could this be all linked in part to the death of a king we haven't been told about yet?
Didn't somebody predict that it was going to happen around about this time?
Predicted there would be a big announcement at the end of March and that April would be full of big red pills. So
I just want to take a short...
hang on a minute. Let me have a look at Charlie Brown's chat here for a second. You wouldn't be so sure of that. You've been kicked out of groups and venues that had sovereign people threaten to send people around and beat me up or worse. There are always
Okay.
some low vibration people in every group. What can I say? I can't make excuses for people. I've pissed off Spazza. He's very unhappy with me at the moment, but unfortunately I've had to draw a line on a few issues, and he doesn't like that. I hope we can come back together.
Well, in
This
fact,
is
that's something we need to do.
what we do.
The groups that are out there, there are a lot of splintered groups, and they need to start coming back together and fighting as a unified force. And they're not going to all agree on everything, but I'm pretty sure they can all agree on one thing, which is called saving Australia.
Exactly. April the 14th, Tony. Yes, that's the date. They're saying supposedly there'll be a lockdown or a lockdown style thing for fuel. So they're going to get people to stay at home to save fuel. You'll be able to work from home to save fuel. You won't need any cash because there'll be nothing open for you to go and use cash at, and you won't be driving because you won't have fuel. So your digital ID and your digital money is going to be very important, maybe, to you until the power goes off, and then nobody will be able to buy anything because a lot of the shopkeepers get very upset if you try and take it out of the shop without paying for it. And if you don't have the cash, or they don't take it, as quite a few of them don't these days, then life's going to get very interesting for people, and it's going to get very dark sooner rather than later. I think campfires are the best medicine. Ain't that the truth, Brother Wayne? And I don't know, but I'm gathering you've got a few people up at your place at Wilmington at the moment, the Stony Creek Bush Camp. So I hope you've got a full camp for Easter, mate. I hope it's going well.
Yeah, we might be able to get the bus up there at one stage too, just to let you know. It's supposed to, it might be making a trip over to SA. Just quickly on that cash thing. I mean, Labor's been touting their new cash bill that says that supermarkets and service stations need to have the ability to take cash up to $500. We all heard that bit of propaganda that was out there. Interesting that it's between 9 and 5. Now, two things about that. One, most people are working between 9 and 5 if they've got a job. The big if in that one. And secondly, service stations and supermarkets are open way after 5 o'clock at night. So why did they put in a restriction there? It's a bit of a, oh, look what we did, and we did this good thing for you, but you didn't really, right? Because if you did the good thing, it would have been at all times. So I just want to call that piece of bullshit legislation out.
Western Australia has employed their emergency fuel management scheme, but when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, you bastards, you're just ramping up the fear. But that may well still be part of what's happening in Western Australia, but it appears that the big fuel companies are just not talking to the West Australian government. The West Australian government is trying to guarantee fuel to the regions, and the big fuel companies, the big four, are very quiet. They're not replying in ways that you would think they should be. Now, in Western Australia, there are somewhere between 750 and 800 servos. The total amount of servos I added today using the base number that they offer, because it's a bit of a range between sort of 150 and 200, or 250 and 350, or 1,800 and 2,500 servos, depending on where you're talking. So I've averaged it out. There's about 7,500 servos in Australia. And today, Albanese has reported that maybe a couple of hundred of them have either no fuel at all or are missing one or the other of the main fuels. in the big scheme of things, that doesn't sound like a fuel crisis, I gather, but it's a fuel crisis if the 2 servos in your town or the 1 servo in your town doesn't have any of this precious juice that you need to get around, which brings me, oops, you'll have to drive your map, Vince, because you've put us way out.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to show that this literally shows the number of tankers, that's LNPG, crude oil, etc. So tankers that are carting stuff around the world at the moment. So take a note of all the tankers that are currently around Australia. Right, if we
now some of those are heading
there, right, some are heading out, some are heading in. If we have this many tankers, why do we have a fuel shortage? Look at this. What's all this down here? Right?
Well,
and all around here.
Admittedly, some of these, unless you click on them and they say, some of them will say petrol, some of them will say diesel, some of them will say crude. Oil and chemicals, that sort of stuff. So
oil and chemical.
So the chemical ones tend to be going into Melbourne, into Geelong, or into Western Port, also into Sydney. And I don't know if they're picking up and dropping off or just dropping off.
Yeah, it's not giving me all of the details.
No, some of them won't. Some of them won't. Just depends on what their last.
Here's another interesting point that we had earlier. Let me see if I can find it again. Up in here, we all recognize this spot, don't we?
Yeah, but look at how many tankers are inside the Gulf.
Yeah, look how many are parked. All the round dots are the parked ones.
Well, that's because they're lined up at the fuel terminals, at the oil terminals.
Okay, but it's not the only place we get fuel from in this world. What's this?
Well, that's the Red Sea.
All right, and what's this thing up here?
That would be the Suez Canal, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So there's more than one way of getting fuel.
Yes, but get your little measuring tool out, and if you notice, there is no or very little traffic coming out of the Straits of Hormuz heading for the Suez Canal and all parts east.
That's that traffic there.
No, that traffic isn't going through the Straits of Hormuz. That's coming straight across the bottom of India and out of China.
Yeah, but the Straits of Hormuz don't go anywhere. They get stopped here.
I know. But do you know where the Suez Canal goes?
Over here, through Greece, up through that way.
Yeah. And that brings them out into the other ocean, the Indian, I think, from memory.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, they would have to come down and go around the Horn of Africa and come back up again. So that is the fastest route from China to America through the Suez Canal. All right. And you see that huge lineup. That's because the Suez Canal is a lock system. So it can only put through, I don't know how many ships at a time, but might only be one. I don't know, at different locks. But it's a very slow progression through, and boats have been tied up there for, or anchored in queue for a week to be able to get their slot to go through. In fact, you've got to have a slot to go through. You can't just turn up and join the queue. You've got to have a prearranged time. And if that's for these big things, you might be able to get through with your little cruiser or your sailing boat if you're lucky. You can share the space with one of these very large oil carriers. And if you ever wondered, there is some amazing video available of the little trains that they use to pull the ships through these locks. I don't know if it's at the Panama or the Suez Canal where they do that, but something was wrong. The ship was in the wrong place. And this very sturdy train engine got crushed by the boat. And you get it's a great example of just how heavy these things are. But
can you clarify something for me?
Yeah.
It says here, for this one, for instance, it says it's a crude oil tanker. Right.
Yeah.
So does that mean that as a crude oil tanker, it's just taking crude oil, or does it mean that it's also capable of doing diesel or petrol?
Normally it would, if it's saying crude, that will be its bulk carrying, what it's mostly carrying. There might be a bit of diesel or a bit of petrol on board, but by and large, that will be pouring oil into either the Lytton or the Geelong refineries, pouring that crude into there, so that they can keep running.
The other way, it's actually leaving Australia. It's not coming.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's probably. Does it say where it came from? Or you can put a tracker on it. It'll show you where it's been. But I would say then it's been to Lytton and dropped off crude there, and possibly Mackay. Not that they process anything there, but these crude carriers also carry bunker oil, what's called bunker oil. And that is the fuel for these huge ships. So I'm not sure that, well, I'm not sure about the refueling of these ships in Australia, how much bunker oil stores we have, but it too has to be shipped here to Australia. I don't think our oil can be used for it. As I've said a lot of times, our oil is a light, sweet crude. It's very good for all sorts of different things, but running a big cargo ship ain't one of them, I'm afeared. So
still, the point being,
so yes,
the point being that we have a hell of a lot of tankers that are around us. And if we look at our other tracking system, which is this one here, which you brought up the other day, right? This is what's currently sitting on land. 38, 31, and 31. Pretty much what it's always been, right? The risk is low up the top here. So what the frig is going on?
Just scroll down a little further.
Yep.
I think we are. There should be a graph there somewhere that says the amount of boats we normally get, which is 12, I think, per month, versus how many are actually on their way to Australia. And I want to say it was underneath the map, underneath the global map part they have. Oh, yeah, I could be wrong, though.
There's a diesel, 31 odd days. Supplies.
No, it'll be near the map because this is what's in transit. So it shows what's coming, what's been ordered, what, essentially. And that's what the surprising thing for me is, that other marine tracker that we've shown shows so many tankers around Australia, but this doesn't.
No.
This doesn't indicate that they're there at all. So
1 diesel, 2 diesel, 1 petrol, then nothing from there on in.
Yeah. I mean, if you let it think about it, and you keep an eye on Singapore, and there should also be 2 ships on the way from South Korea, because we saw them the other night while we were doing this. So,
and 3 from America.
Well, they're due April, May. So they've got a hell of a distance to come as well, because they're going to have to come through the Panama Canal, because it'll come out of the refineries in Louisiana. And there's a big problem with that in that there's South America between us.
So, yeah, I can't find that area that you're looking for, but there's some of the expected deliveries.
Okay. Well, that may have changed because I haven't looked at it in a day or 3.
Yeah, also this map's been updated to give you a lot more information, which is really quite good. But it still comes down to, I agree with that one, that comment. The sky is falling, Chicken Little. The sky is falling.
Yeah, 100%. And then you could see just how confident Albo was with it the other night in his speech. What a waste of friggin' time that was.
Nothing
3
burger.
minutes and 17 seconds of pure gaslighting of the Australian public. Let me jerk you off with one hand while slapping you across the face with the other. Just woeful. And I believe Angus Taylor stood up, and because he gets right of reply, right? If the Prime Minister gets to pull a national thing, so does the leader of the opposition. He'd have done better simply saying, I'm not going to bother, let the people have their 3 minutes for the night. Because from what I saw, and it was very little of it, but what I've read about it since, is that he may as well have stayed at home as well. He had an opportunity to take some great steps to maybe announce some new path that the Liberal Party might be following back to common sense. But instead, oh no, another gaslighting session where he bemoaned the fact that Albo got to do it before he did. That's all that was. Absolute friggin' waste of time. And somebody elected these folks.
The whole shift of the Liberal Party at the moment is swaying in the wind, right? They're moving back to what most of the people in Australia are woken up to and realizing that we are no longer a self-sufficient country. And if we get, for any reasons, our shipping lanes get disrupted, we're screwed. So effectively, though, I think people have had enough of the sway, and can we trust them to actually say or do what they're going to do? Which is why I think One Nation is making such a move.
Yep, me too. Me too. So quickly, let's just talk about South Australia's result. You were right. People should be bowing down to you. In fact, South Australian pundits should be coming to you for lessons. I think you said in the show on the Friday night, in this show on the Friday night before the South Australian election, that you expected the 3 upper house seats that One Nation got, but you said certainly 3, possibly 4, maybe 5 in the lower house. Now, nobody was saying anything like that outside of you. And lo and behold, after a recount in there is a declaration being made. One Nation now have a 4th lower house seat in the South Australian Parliament. That is significant.
Yeah, so it's amazing. I think that was the fuel that I was getting around the state. And the only reason they didn't get more, considering they did 27, I heard last night, 2 candidate preferred seats around the state where it was between them and the opposition. So that's huge in itself. That the issue being that the preference flows obviously did the damage there, and that's why Labor won. One of the comments that I do want to raise, and I want people to think about as a question, you're going to get over the next few months, especially with the Victorian election and stuff coming up, you're going to get that a vote for One Nation is going to be a vote for Labor. Right? That's what you're going to hear, right? Because they're all going and saying, oh, yeah, if you vote that, the preferences will eventually flow to Labor, etc., and so on. Well, 2 things. No, because you get to choose your preferences. That'll be 1. Number 2, what the bloody hell? If they get such a landslide, what's to stop One Nation from actually kicking Labor out? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So it's up to the people to make that move. That's where they've got it, and that's where they got the power. So a vote for One Nation is not guaranteed a vote for Labor. It could be a guaranteed vote for a total change of Parliament, and then we get to see if somebody else can do something right for change. Yeah. And certainly the first 2 haven't done it. So anyway, I'll get my political horse.
There would be quite an expectation, particularly on a national level, I think, for One Nation to make a lot of changes to the system. And for them to be
If
able to
they
do
can get
that, then the
power.
people would need to get 100% behind them. And that requires people understanding how the preference system works and how your preference, if you choose to give someone like One Nation a go, how you best do that and keep your preference alive for as long as possible. And the only way we're going to get real change is if they are given the power to do it. The question, I guess, is should they be given the power to do it in this coming election federally, or should we wait and see whether or not they can be a competent opposition? But can the country last another Labor term, I ask you?
No.
So
you've heard of Agenda 2030, I'm sure, seeing we're going down that rabbit hole. And as for the 28 names, basically, Bill, I don't give a shit. Right now, saving this country is more the point. And there's not enough evidence floating around because they would have hidden it or burnt it. So,
and the
yes, we know
and the
that
fact
exists,
is, I think Malcolm has said, Malcolm Roberts has said that he's looked and he can't find any evidence of it. And I would believe him with that. I do believe that Malcolm would give that a very genuine go. I know he's actually been able to speak with Senator Heffernan as well. And
wants to stay right out of it.
Who wants to stay? Yeah, he doesn't want to have anything to do. He's an old man these days. You know, he's in his late 80s. So he doesn't want to be involved in it at all. And as we've discussed here many times, if you are going to hide something, if there is something as big as what happened with that report that came out, the Woods Royal Commission, and if those names, those 28 names, were that important and so damaging to the whole country, you can be guaranteed there is only one group responsible for making sure that those documents never come to light, and that is the bureaucracy. They hold the secrets. So if a minister like or a senator like Roberts goes in and says, listen, all these people and that there's 200 people shouting every day at the Governor General, what are they shouting about? And here's what they're shouting about. They're saying there's this list. Who does he go to find out advice about that list? He goes to a fucking bureaucrat. And the bureaucrat, who might only be in week one of their job and haven't been fully bureaucratized, that would be the way to do it, they pushed it up the chain. They pushed the request up the chain. Somewhere in that chain, there is somebody who says, and it'll be a very senior person, right? Because those sorts of secrets are only trusted to the very top of the department. Thank you very much. Pipe Master, you are a legend. Thanks, mate. Really, thank you. So it is the bureaucrats that hide it. It's the bureaucrats that write the legislation that obfuscates things like that or makes it impossible for it to be found. And depending on how long it's useful for, they will use that, I am sure, to blackmail the politicians they need influence over, to say, oh, well, they're calling for that list of 28. It could just fall out again. I'd be interested to know how many of those 28 are still alive today. I get the feeling that we'll get the list as soon as the day after the last one's dead.
I don't even think we'll get the list. Honestly, I think they've burnt it.
In all likelihood, any trace of it is gone. What I would like is a copy of the Wood Royal Commission unredacted.
Yeah, actually, although we've all seen the video, so even having the Hansard wouldn't do us any good, unfortunately.
No, George Brandison sat there on a chair like a schoolboy in front of Heffernan and said, not going to answer any of that. It's been deemed it would lose the public confidence in government, not just our government, but public confidence in the government and the judiciary, essentially confirming that everything was found out in the Wood Royal Commission was true, and was actually being led by one of their greatest adverts. How did we think we're going on the trip to the moon, buddy?
Well, after it bounced off the, what do they call it?
The dome?
The dome? I don't know. I'm sorry. I am the guy who believes there is not a dome. So there we go.
Isn't it interesting that you believe that, and I tonight have a video to show you?
Righto. This ought to be good. Bring it on.
All right. Now, this video is a Chinese, I'm gathering, satellite that is hanging from a balloon. I don't know if this is AI generated. I don't think so. Now, the balloon bursts, but it's at an extremely high altitude. We're talking over 100,000 feet in my estimation. So you're going to see it play out in real time. And then we're going to be able to watch it slowly play out over 2 minutes. And while it's playing out, the firmament, thank you, yes, user, I just want you to watch. Well, we'll talk about it. Watch this.
Carl, you need to unmute your mic.
Oh.
So all that conversation that you were talking about through that, nobody got any of it. Mind you, I'm interested to see the bag of ping pong balls or whatever it was in that as well.
That's the video itself is very short. It's about 9 seconds, maybe. And I haven't got any more to show you other than that. But the interesting thing for me is that the horizon appears to have a
well, some people say fisheye camera.
And I would agree in this instance, because what you have is a lot of dead straight lines to measure it against with the wireframe of whatever that thing was holding. So go back and watch those wires, watch the cables or the rods or whatever it is that's holding the pong chong wing thing together.
Play it again, and this time turn your microphone on.
Right. Oh. Sun in the top right-hand corner there. Bang. Away she goes. So immediately in an area where there should not be gravity or a great deal of it, the smallest bits of the balloon automatically fall to Earth. Then the balloon starts falling. Keep an eye on the flat stuff, and bear in mind we are probably looking at what is a very small camera, and that does tend to put a certain curvature into pictures. But because we've got a number of very straight rods and bits and pieces there, we've got an idea of what straight is. And this balloon spins, I'm guesstimating, at over 180 degrees. I think it's spinning closer to 240 or 50 degrees as it comes down, and you get a view of the horizon as you spin. Now, bear in mind that's off axis from the balloon thing, so that's why it's all tilted. So you see a bit of curvature there. But the other thing you're not seeing is any ocean anywhere. So the world was either completely covered in cloud that day, or
okay, so it's not, doesn't appear to be a false video. JP Aerospace has launched numerous high altitude balloons and airships into the upper atmosphere. Right, they are a group of students and various other bits and pieces, so it's not from that. Altitude achievements. The vehicles, including a twin balloon utility airship, set an ability record for unmanned airships of 95,085 feet over 18 miles in October 22 of 2011.
So there you go. It's an old one.
Yeah.
There you go. Taking bets on whether or not we are going to see this on the dark side of the moon. I'm confident that we'll
love
see
your
light.
artwork. I do love your artwork.
I'm getting better. You wait until you see this one. I had a bit of a think about what the moon is going to look like, and had a conversation with my dear friend Albert here, using all of Albert's abilities to go and source information about the moon and whatnot. I asked him to do me a rendering of what the moon will look like in 100 years. It'll look like a mine. It's going to look like in 100 years. That's according to Al the AI. So,
right. So one has to ask the question now: with a massive, great mining hole in one side of it, does it have the mass now to keep itself in orbit?
Very good point. It'll have a wobble.
Wobble its way all the right into the Earth. So,
well, clearly it's not. Clearly, you could never do a big.
It's a reflection on the filament. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that.
Clearly, you could never do a deep open cut mine like that on the moon, mate. There is just you just clearly couldn't do it, because you'd get through that first 20 odd feet and then you'd hit the metal ball underneath. You know,
yes,
keeps all the gears and everything.
Great movie. Have you seen that movie?
Oh, yes,
bloody brilliant. I like that movie.
Yes. Do you remember the name of it because you like it so much?
Moonfall.
Moonfall. That is exactly it. I may have told you about it.
Yeah. Well, I think I watched it twice actually.
If you haven't gone and watched it, folks,
it's sci-fi stuff. You know, I love my sci-fi, but
yeah, but that's where they tell the truth.
And there's another truth that happened this weekend, or that we're celebrating this weekend, didn't necessarily happen this weekend. All right, and that is the one that's hanging around your neck.
Yes. Yes. Well, we don't so much celebrate. Well, I guess we do celebrate the rising of him. Do we celebrate his death? Today is obviously we're thankful for the fact that he died for all our sins. And I don't know about you, but I've chalked up a shitload of them. He took on a heavy burden from me. So I couldn't be more grateful and more thankful. And now I will do what I can.
Early gates, he won't be taking just a book. He'll be taking a truckload of books to go through the list.
My word. My word. So quickly before we go, a couple of really fast stories. This is a poor bloke who decided, like an idiot, to drive his Tesla from Sydney to Perth, and now he's stranded in the desert because all of the Tesla charging stations have run out of diesel. I mean, we always knew it was going to happen, but now it's happening. We talked about this briefly, but here's the story. King Charles III died on March the 28th. The British royal family is aware of the passing. They've held the body up for days while insiders coordinate the timing of a public statement. Buckingham Palace is expected to issue a confirmation imminently, framing the event as a peaceful passing following the King's long battle with cancer. This calculated move follows decades of institutional shielding, secrets from the British public and the international community. A timeline for the King's decline. The facts align with precision. Charles underwent treatment for an aggressive form of cancer. Well, let's see. He might rise with an Easter message. Does the monarch normally put out an Easter message? I know they do a Christmas one. Do they do an Easter one? He might have to.
Yeah, well, you never know. Or an AI generated one might.
Yeah, exactly. And you're in deep shit, Vince, because the AFP chief on the left there is going to be dobbing on you to the squeaking bitch of a whining thing on the right, because you might be an ominous character. Whoops.
Okay, there's actually two things I can do for that, but I'm only going to do one. This one, right? Because the other one involved
a little bit like the messaging coming out of Iran to President Trump, I'm told. Yeah. And finally, this piece of work is a wanted war criminal from Israel who has worked very hard to get a new law pushed through the Knesset, which basically said they are going to execute every Palestinian in all their jails. And this prick had bottles of champagne in the parliament, on the parliament floor. He was going to spray it like he just won the Monaco Grand Prix until he was not quite crash-tackled by somebody who clearly had to clean that mess up afterwards, if that's what he did, and they stopped him from spraying it. What a piece of work. So he announced with this law that they're going to now legally murder all the Palestinians that they have locked up in whatever little hellholes they have scattered across different parts of Israel.
There are some evil people in this world.
Well,
very evil people.
The Palestinians pushed back. They said, well, sure, you can do that if you want. And the Iranians said, yeah, you can do that if you want, but we'll do the same with all of yours.
Oh, they already
have. Well, I think Iran certainly wouldn't have. They're very good at keeping hostages alive for very long periods of time.
The three young people that were the three young basketball players that were hung.
Well, they weren't hostages. I was talking about hostages.
Well, they
all right. So if you want to change the narrative, then yes, but don't attribute one crime to a different one.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah,
I mean,
I'm not standing up to the Iranian regime in any way, shape, or form. I think everybody who's known anything about it, at least from the outside, and what we're told, because I don't have family there, but I do know people who have family there. And I spoke to a woman from Telstra yesterday at great length. She rang up to, oh no, she wasn't from Telstra. She was from the National Australia Bank. And amazed I answered the phone, to be honest. But I did. Glad I did in the end, because we had a lovely phone conversation. She came from Persia. She's feeling it at the moment. She's lived here in Australia now for 17 years. And now on her job is to ring up and make sure that people who've got an NAB account, if they need any help, she can fix them. It's just a courtesy call kind of thing. And she said that, yesterday she told me that she's getting abused. None of your business. Fuck off, leave me alone, stop, And I'll be honest, I've done that, particularly if I've got an Indian on the other end of the phone. I don't understand why corporations these days would employ Indian call centers, considering that not every scam that comes through your phone is run by an Indian, but most Indians are running scams coming through your phone. So why would your call center want to align with that kind of thing? I don't understand it. You could be employing Australians, and you bloody well should be. But this lady wasn't Indian. She was Persian, had a lovely accent. And she said, do you need a house loan, or how's the housing loan going? I said, I don't have anything like that. I said, I live in a bus that I don't own yet, and I drive around the country, pulling up where I like. And she said, I'd love to do that. I said, well, you should do it. Just go and do it. Oh, my husband's had a stroke. I said, well, he won't complain when you strap him down into the seat and drive off into the sunset.
Carl, you can be rash sometimes.
I will point out that at that point, I became aware that there is a slight gap between the Australian sense of humour and an immigrant's ability to understand it.
Correct. Yes, that's usually the case. We are a warped sense of people. Yeah.
Well, we do tend to have a darker sense of humour. Anyway, on that note, considering we're ending with a smile, let's do it there. Thank you for everything you do, even if you've spent most of the week on your back groaning, moaning, and in severe pain. I know there have been other times where you've at least thought about me occasionally and offered to help. So thank you.
All right. Just before we go, I want to wish all of our viewers a very, very happy Easter. Enjoy the time with your family. I know most of you probably didn't buy Easter eggs at the moment because you're too busy filling a car with petrol that costs way more than it should. But generally speaking, right, remember the day, remember the reason why, remember what Sunday is about, even if it's not the exact day. Remember that it is for your Saviour, all right, and for you, the person who believes in the Lord, then good on you. For those of you who don't, just keep a thought in mind. You never know, down in the near future, you may need to have a chat with him just to keep yourself sane. So from me, I'm going to do what every waving wonder does, and
that's the end of him, at least until we roll him back out next week. And FBN Media over on YouTube, go and check out the site there. Vince has put a few things up that are worthy of your attention. If you're not a South Australian, you don't have to watch all the One Nation or South Australian election stuff, but there are a couple of other very worthy interviews that he's put up over there. And I'll be honest, some of the One Nation interviews he's done there are very worthwhile to chat, or not just One Nation. There are a variety of flavoured candidates, but it's been really interesting to hear some of the thoughts that they've put forward on Vince's question. It's been, well worth looking at. All right, folks, Easter. I hope you've got fuel where you are. I hope you don't have to use it. Why on earth do you have to be on the road when there are so many dickheads out there? It's probably not worth it. Stay home. If you have to eat chocolate, well, see if you can dip it in strawberries first. That'd be my advice. But be safe, be happy, be smiley. And should the world, for whatever reason, develop an exciting change or twist over the next 3 days, then you will be no doubt hearing from me. But if you don't, then have a safe weekend. Be with your family, be with your loved ones, be with your friends. Whatever you do, be safe. Steer clear of the dickheads, both the ones on the road and the ones that spew bullshit into your ear. telling you how wonderful you are.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!